Nestled deep within Canada's remote and untouched Northwest Territories lies a national park with unrivaled natural beauty and an even more unrivaled history. The Nahanni Park Reserve contains gorgeous rivers, mountains, geysers, canyons, caves, forests, and other natural splendors. Some would rightfully call it an outdoorsman's dream come true, though the harsh reality is that many have suffered their worst nightmares within these serene valleys. The name of the region itself is intertwined with one of the many mysteries that have plagued this area for centuries. Nahanni derives from the language of the indigenous Dene people that have inhabited the region for thousands of years and means the people over there. The reference is to a tribe of mountain-dwelling people known as the Naha, who were once known to raid lowland settlements before mysteriously vanishing into thin air, seemingly without a trace. And though their disappearance may be the first known anomaly of this picturesque region, it certainly wasn't the only one. Even before the modern tragedies that unfolded with Nahanni, native tribes have been known to warn us of unknown evils lurking within the 200-mile gorge, which is now affectionately known as the Headless Valley. As a result of this looming presence, even the tribes native to the region tend to avoid the area altogether, and perhaps that's for a good reason. Fast forward to the early 1900s and the Klondike Gold Rush was fresh in the minds of those seeking wealth within the untamed Canadian wilderness. The area that we know today as the Northwest Territories had proven to be rich with valuable minerals, and entrepreneurial spirits willing to brave the elements were eager to stake their claims on untouched regions in hopes of untold riches. This leads us to the first of many incidents that would occur within the Nahanni region. In 1904, an enterprising pair of brothers named Frank and Willie MacLeod traversed hundreds of kilometers by train, boat, and foot during a numbingly cold winter in order to reach the untapped waters of what they aptly named Gold Creek. Their efforts were rewarded and they found bountiful amounts of gold, enough to ensure their financial success beyond what they had ever hoped to achieve. They returned to their home in Fort Liard with as much gold as they could carry. However, they weren't satisfied. They knew that there was enough gold in the region to make the same journey dozens of times over. So in 1905, they set out on a second expedition into the Nahanni Range. This time, however, they would never return. The third MacLeod brother, Charlie, had stayed behind while the others ventured into the wilds. At first, unconcerned and under the assumption that they were taking their time to gather immense amounts of gold, the realization that something was wrong slowly crept in as months turned into years without any word. In 1908, Charlie launched his own search party, slowly making his way to where his brothers had described the area that they had set up camp in. Upon reaching the area, he had found his worst fears coming to fruition along the riverbank. His brother's camp, now eerily quiet, with 2 human corpses left to rot amongst the sediment. The bodies had their heads meticulously removed, and despite their best efforts, the skulls were never found. The identification of the 2 men was confirmed upon finding personal effects within their pockets. There was no denying that it was the MacLeod brothers. Signs of a brief struggle seemed apparent. One of the brothers' bodies had an outstretched arm that was reaching desperately for a nearby rifle, whereas the other had blankets thrown around him as if he was reactively leaping from bed right before his demise. Police were informed and a formal investigation was launched, but the conclusion reached the men had died of natural causes, and sometime after their death, the local wildlife had separated and dragged off their heads. Many did not believe these claims, including Charlie MacLeod, and thereafter this region became known by several different anonymous names, including the Headless Valley. Theories about the brothers' demise are plentiful. One is that the pair had a third partner assisting them while scavenging for gold, and once they had struck pay dirt, the third man killed them in order to hoard all the gold for himself. Some believe that the native tribes reacted with hostility, when outsiders began filtering the rivers for profit. Others claim that the native legends are true, and there are unknown evils that haunt the Nahanni Valley to this very day. After news outlets got a hold of the story, fables of the brothers' lost riches began gathering traction. The idea that they found a gold mine with riches as far as the eye could see were propagating to other industrious gold seekers. Reports conclude that 20 people had lost their lives after specifically setting out to find the fabled lost MacLeod mine. And while this story may be one of the most popular to emerge from the Headless Valley, it's certainly not the only incident to occur there. Around 8 years after the events of the MacLeod brothers' deaths, another enterprising soul took it upon himself to delve into the Nahanni Valley and exploit its rivers for the promise of immense wealth. Swiss prospector Martin Jorgensen completed his arduous journey to the area, establishing a base camp and erecting a cabin as he slowly extracted gold nuggets from the waters around him. He was so successful that he sent word back to his companions, inviting them to join him and reap the rewards that he had so easily accrued. When Jorgensen's partners had reached his cabin, instead of a warm welcome, they were met with a nightmarish scene. Martin's cabin had been torched to the ground. All that remained was a foundation surrounded by ash, and right alongside the cabin was a charred human corpse that was once again missing its head. The decapitated body of Martin Jorgensen. No one knows who or what brought his expedition to a screeching halt. Once more in 1945, an Ontario miner named Ernest Savard entered into the Headless Valley searching for gold. When failing to meet up with his partners for a scheduled rendezvous, they ventured to where he was known to be scavenging and found his lifeless corpse in his sleeping bag, decapitated like the 3 men who came before him. While these are the events that gave the Headless Valley its name, decapitations aren't the only strange forms of demise that people had met while braving the area. Much like Martin Jorgensen, there have been reports of several cabins or makeshift abodes burning to the ground without evidence of what happened. Even stranger still is the story of a trapper named John O'Brien who was found frozen to death next to his campfire. He still had matches in his hand, and he looked completely unbothered despite his apparently slow demise. Reports say that it appeared as if he had been flash frozen in an instant, as there were no signs that he had suffered or struggled against the encroaching elements. In more modern times, a series of unexplained plane crashes earned the nearby expanse of mountains the name of the Funeral Range. Alongside this, there have been a myriad of UFO reports or sightings of strange lights seen within the Nahanni region. Dozens upon dozens of people have gone missing without a trace in the area. While it may be due to the natural pitfalls that are plentiful within the park, some maintain that the area is undoubtedly haunted by negative energy and evil presences. Since the first people settled the region 10,000 years ago, there has been oral history and native lore of hidden tropical gardens, mythical creatures, spirits hiding within the mounds and the water, and even giants who cook their food using the natural hot springs. Whatever the truth may be, there's no denying that the Nahanni National Park makes as good a case as any place in the world for having some sort of a supernatural influence. Today, many of the areas of the national park are prohibited to anyone wishing to visit. The official reasoning is that some areas are too dangerous or that they wish to preserve areas of natural splendor and protect them from human intervention. While this may be the case, some believe that the restrictions are to protect visitors from what they would find hidden amongst the riverbanks. I would love to hear your thoughts. What do you think was the cause of the string of decapitations that took place between the years of 1905 and 1945? And on top of that, what could have torched so many cabins here over the years? Is it possible that the native legends are correct, and there's an evil presence within the park? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for making it to the end, and I look forward to seeing you next week with another video.